Hello everybody, welcome to Tokyo. This is actually an episode about Osaka, but it has very much relevancy to Tokyo as well. The mayor of Osaka recently came out and said that they were they're gonna do it, an entry fee for foreign tourists based on over-tourism. And I'm gonna be explaining about my thoughts on this and why this is taking place. It's not something that is just for Japan. Actually, this is something that's going on worldwide. It just so happens that Japan is a destination that most of you really love to come to, and when this happens, it's a little shocking. But business is war in Japan, and business is necessary, and they definitely need to battle this a little bit. I'm going to explain why. All right, let's check this out here. So this is the mayor of Osaka here in an article recently. I'm just going to go through this article. Now, this is from the Japan Times. Osaka waives entry fee for foreign tourists in a bid to combat over-tourism. What is over-tourism? It just means that there's a lot of people coming in, and it's creating a lot of stress for locals. In particular, the infrastructure here in Japan is not, how do I say this? It's not enough right now for the amount of inbound tourists coming to this country. So it's creating a lot of challenges, which is part of the over-tourism, as well as the sustainability and the Osaka prefectural government will consider charging foreign tourists staying in the prefecture an entry fee to combat over-tourism. Hirofumi Yoshimura said Wednesday. This is last week. The planned levy is separate from lodging taxes. So there's already, I think it's like really reasonable, at about 100 yen per stay for foreign tourists. And I think this is for Japanese tourists as well that are staying in Osaka. This impacts in particular the Kansai region. If introduced, it would be the first levy of its kind nationwide. Japan currently does not have a tourist tax, although sometimes we're seeing this. There's a Shinkansen going through my head. The goal is to introduce in time for the Osaka Kansai Japan Expo for 2025, which is just like, I can't believe it, a year away. According to the Internal Affairs and Communication Minister, there is no taxation program operated by the local governments in Japan that specifically target foreign nationals, and such programs would need approval from the Internal Affairs Minister. They're going to get the approval, I'm pretty sure, in this one here. In light of the recent surge of the number of inbound tourists, the coexistence of Dr. Yellow! Whoa! Dr. Yellow is the Shinkansen that checks the integrity of the tracks. You don't see that too often, once a week. That was pretty awesome. Forget the tax. Did you see that? All right, let's move on here. Recent surge. I love coming here because you can do train spotting, which is pretty awesome. That was cool. I was the only one going crazy as well. A little unusual. Yeah, because of the surge of tourists coming in here, there's a lot of worry that they don't have the infrastructure really in place to deal with the amount of tourists coming from abroad, and they need to hire more services to make sure that it's smooth for not just the tourists but the locals, and that takes money. And locals don't want to pay for it. Locals are like, why should we pay for it? Osaka currently imposes an accommodation tax of 100 yen. There it is. So 300 yen on domestic and international guests staying at lodgings. It just depends how much you spend. So, yeah, I think this tax is going to happen. This isn't anything new. This is happening like all over the entire world. Venice is imposing a tax, if they haven't already, to limit the amount of tourists that are coming there. A lot of places are doing the same thing. In particular, popular places, because there's too many people. Let's be honest. And I think a tax is not going to really stop tourists. Now, there's going to be a percentage of people, like 1%, that are like, oh, Japan, why are you doing the taxes? I'm just going to go to Korea instead. Really? First of all, Korea is a wonderful place. But the second thing is, it's only going to be a couple of dollars more, and the dollars are probably going to be used to really improve the experience for tourists. Already I'm seeing the money being used from the influx of the JR stations in Tokyo. They already have windows. This technology comes from Toppan, which is a publishing group here. I guess they also make digital manga. They've kind of been working for decades in this industry, the publishing industry. And they have these windows at the JR stations which allow you to translate, where the staff worker behind the window can translate on the window, and it becomes like a digital window. And this is starting to really help. And these kinds of costs need to be passed on to the tourists, because Japanese consumers right now, it's not a good situation, and we can't afford any more taxes for you to want to come to Japan, because you're going to come anyways, let's face it. I'm pretty confident on that, you know. Michael's, the sun is in the house. Pretty gloomy. It is. It's raining. I started a little bit late as a result of it, which is a good thing, because we got to see Dr. Yellow. That's so cool. That has not happened in a live stream. So thank you, Michael. It's good to see you here. Other things that are happening here. So what exactly is this over tourism thing? Let me explain a little bit more detail and how these tax dollars possibly help. I'm going to go through this article that comes from, I think, the Associated Press here. Kyoto's picturesque geisha district fights back against over-tourism and keeps... This is a recent a story. I think it was just a couple of days ago. And right now, Kyoto... and thank you to the viewers that pointed this out to me. I was well aware of it, but you guys put this to the forefront here. There's a neighborhood in Kyoto where a lot of tourists are more like paparazzi now, and they just go there and they hunt pictures of geisha, which many of them do sell online. Japan's ancient capital of Kyoto, long a popular destination for tourists, is closing off some private property alleys in its famous geisha district because of complaints about misbehaving visitors. There's nothing new there. We've seen this all. Tourists crowd the alley, the narrow, quaint streets, and they are narrow in this area of Ginza, of Gion. And there's even tour guides that take you on these Find Geisha tours. That's going to have to stop. We are going to put up signs in April to tell tourists to stay out of our private streets, he told the AP. A sign will say in both Japanese and English, "This is a private road, so you are not allowed to drive through it." Now, if you do take pictures or you go through this private road, in particular, if you have no business being there, you will be fined 10,000 yen or $70 if they catch you. But I'm gonna believe that they're going to police this and make examples out of the people who don't listen. The ban covers just several blocks of Gion. The district's public streets will remain open to tourists, so the area for the rest of Kyoto will still be teeming with visitors, both from Japan and the world. Yeah, it's a pretty decent article. And in the middle of it, Venice is limiting tourists to protect the city. So this is not something that is new here. Gion's outrage highlights brewing resentment at what many people feel is over-tourism, even though the Japanese economy depends more than ever on tourism. That's right. Japan kind of staved off a recession recently by having growth. So I think that growth is as a result of tourism. The district of winding alleyways is known for picturesque tea houses where geisha and their maiko apprentices wearing fancy kimono and hair ornaments perform in dance and music. In a city known for gorgeous temples and gardens, Gion is one blah blah blah. I think you get the picture. So I think that this ban is probably, first of all, I thought they banned it before, but you know, during the years, the couple of years where nobody was coming here, I dare I say the word, or YouTube puts a disclaimer on it if you even mention that word with a P and a C. The tension was lifted, the steam was let out, and the locals in Kyoto, and I want to just point this out to you. There's like 1.2 or 1.5 million Kyoto residents. That's it. It's not a big city, all right? Mainly because you can't really build new accommodations in the city. But there's not a lot of people there. There are right now like 4 times more foreign visitors in Kyoto and domestic visitors in general than there are probably residents of Kyoto. It seems like there's always there's more tourists than residents in the city of Kyoto. So there's always going to be some steam here. In particular, with misbehaving tourists did not help. Neither, and there's a lot in Kyoto, and just people who, I don't know, disturb. Tourism, it's a tough thing. You have to take the good with the bad, and that's part of the stew that you get with tourism. But I don't know. Even a city as Kyoto that has been a tourist attraction for decades is still grappling with tourists that are coming to Japan. Like, it's always been a tourist attraction, but it's only been 10 years since it's been like a tourist attraction. Meaning, like, I've been living here for 26 years this year, and I have not seen international tourism like it is now, and Japanese are still kind of grappling with that. Like, people coming here that have no clue about the culture, you can take a little bit of it, but it's like, oh, it's more than the residents, and it's a lot for them to handle. So you can kind of understand a little bit about that. There was some more stuff here from Kyoto here. I'm gonna go through this from Kyoto News. I love Kyoto News. They translate or write a lot of the things in English. Kyoto, also a Japanese news service. Kyoto may launch a tourist express bus to beat the overcrowding. If you're going to Kyoto, and I've been telling you this for the last 18 months now, since Japan reopened in 2022 in November, like, Kyoto is going to be, besides maybe parts of Tokyo, like Shibuya, Kyoto is going to be the most uncomfortable and crowded experience that you have in Japan. And first thing in the morning, and then times in the evening where it's not too bad. But Kyoto in general, for me, I don't like crowds, so I feel uncomfortable going to a temple and not feeling the reason why I'm at that temple, because there's just too many people. But the problem is that Kyoto doesn't have a really big infrastructure for subway, for example, to move a lot of people. The bus system is something they rely on, and the public buses have been crowded seriously with queues quite long going out of Kyoto Station for quite a long time. The tourists don't like that. Old people that can't afford taxis, that rely on those buses, can't often get in. They can't even get in to allow someone to give them a seat. So it's created a lot of stress. Struggling under the weight of post that word, Kyoto is considering establishing express buses. They're just considering it, but I think this is a wonderful idea. It's going to cost a little bit more, but time is money, okay? If you're going to spend $1 more and you're going to get to your destination 15 minutes faster, it's worth it, okay? It really is. The government, hold on a second. The government plans to set fares on the express buses at 500 yen, which is $3. That's a little expensive for us, but $3 is pretty cheap. It's expensive for everybody who's not American, maybe. I don't know what the euro is going for right now, but it's pretty expensive for us. The adults for $250 for children. I think the express buses are great. Look, if you just spent thousands of dollars to come to Japan, and you can spend $1 to drop 15 minutes of sitting on a crowded bus, I would do that. In fact, they might even have like day passes that are probably cost like $25 or something. I would totally do that because, again, the buses in Kyoto, they take forever to get around, and they're not comfortable when they're crowded. Because I've ridden on them quite a bit. Japan has seen a spike in tourism since lifting the you-know-what in April of 2023. Actually, it was November of 2022 where the visa stuff was eased. With a population around 1.4 million, there it is. Kyoto has 1.4 million in Kyoto, and more than 40 million domestic and foreign visitors hosted in 2022. That's crazy. Kyoto is emblematic of the over-tourism issue disrupting local communities across Japan. This is a real thing. By easing congestion through, at the end here, splitting routes people use, we hope to achieve a balance between everyday life and tourism. I think going forward, they're going to have to find this balance of everyday tourism versus like everyday life. And I love that everybody is visiting Japan. I really do. I walk around and I get to see a lot of visitors, many of them sending me messages. I hope I can catch you. I hope I can see you. By the way, if you do, I have some You Found Me cards. I think it'd be great if we could find that harmony between everyday tourism and everyday life, and we don't quite have that in Japan. This is Yurakucho, if you don't already know. This is a place I love to come. mainly because it's my backyard. There's a big plaza here. The station has been finally finished its renovations. It looks a little bit easier. The entrances have been widened for the tourism coming in here. And the Shinkansen passes over there. There used to be a restaurant up there where you could sit there and watch the Shinkansen coming through, but I believe that restaurant had to close down, which is a shame. And they're like really cheap, like 1,000 yen lunches as well. And the Godiva Bakery, the Godiva Bakery is over there. That's a chocolate place. It's kind of, I saw a big queue. Apparently you need a reservation to get in and get the chocolate bakery, but they closed the Osaka store down and they put in a bakery over there. Yeah, so it looks like this balance between everyday life and everyday tourism is what a lot of communities are struggling with right now, and they're going to come up with things which probably include costs, which is going to be passed into improving the infrastructure, improving options like express buses to get you from one place to the other without stopping where the locals want to stop. Because actually, nobody gets off the bus at a lot of these places, all right? They get off at the main tourist stops, and the express buses would be quite welcome. Right now we're in the cherry blossom season and we're gearing up for that. I'm looking at the daimyo options. Satrio just joined, thank you. Like, I saw that Mujirushi had these sakura infused foods, and I'm trying them all out for you guys. I still got a couple of boxes if you're interested. I'm gonna be putting the best of the best in there for this cherry blossom box. This one, I'm not sure if I'm gonna put in there. It was a little bit too salty, but it was quite good. Cherry blossoms are salty because they're pickled. I think this is the kawazu, actually. It's pink. But this was fairly good, but I'm not sure I'm gonna put it in there. The scone, it was a little dry, but had that cherry blossom in there, which was nice. Salty floral taste. It's quite pleasant. So I'm making up the cherry blossom boxes, and if you haven't already, you can see the story of a 1,000-year-old sakura tree, which is playing on YouTube right now. So, struggling with all these windows here. Come on now, there you go. All right, this is a community, and we do have a Discord community where people that are in Japan right now are helping those that are also visiting. Make sure you do join that. It's free. You just got to download that Discord app, which has so many other communities. This is not just mine. I remember introducing Discord to my friend Paolo like 4 years ago, and he started his own community too. So I don't know what they're talking. Oh! Dr. Yellow's in the house. It's going back. I'm listening to, there's some people that were also shouting this time. And Peso's telling me, yeah, we do have a telephone number. I don't think we've had a message in a while, so it's time to promote that. I took a week off because I've been working on the edited video channel. I think that's the new Shinkansen as well, right there. Yeah. Wow. There's a lot of new trains going by. I've got a phone number that you can actually call and leave a message. It's a U.S. number. And I will start playing those, but right now it's limited to just Patreon supporters. So if you're a Patreon supporter, you want to join the postcard club, this is this month's postcard. It's me, Leo, and Kanai underneath the cherry blossoms. It's a beautiful shot, I think, and kind of shows you my cherry blossom. This year I'm talking about more my personal experience. But this is the postcard that's going out in a couple of days. So yeah, I appreciate that. But the phone number there is for everybody who's on Patreon right now, and I'll release it to the public a little bit later on. But it's kind of cool to hear from you. You just leave a message and push the pound sign to end it, and I believe you can confirm the message or not. Shout out to Peso for setting that up. It's kind of a neat thing where you can just call me and leave a message, and I can delete the ones that are bad. We haven't had any because it's just our supporters, which is really nice. Patreon members can leave a voicemail for John on a real phone number. Check Patreon posts for more info. I'll repost this as well, which is great. Now, you know what? I might relay the post, but yeah, the Patreon does help out the channel quite a bit, so I appreciate everybody who's joining the postcard club. You could also send the postcard to a friend who loves Japan as well, if that's a gift that you want to give. It's kind of a neat thing. I make sure the stamps are really nice on there. Common Writer writes in, you have a warm cup of coffee. Thank you! I will probably stop at the cafe to pick it up then. Any idea when the tourist tax of Osaka will be starting? All right, just to go back on this for those that are joining us, the tax is just an idea right now, but I'm pretty sure that they're going to be. Are there Vandalays in the house? Thank you. I'm pretty sure that they're going to do this. I just think it makes a lot of sense. You know, the area of Kansai, it's stacked. It's got Nara, it's got Osaka, it's got Kyoto, it's got Himeji Castle, it's got, you know, inside of Osaka, Universal Studios Japan, it's got Kansai International Airport, it's got Dotonbori, it's got Umeda Sky Building, it's just stacked with tourist attractions. In fact, I don't know why you guys come to Tokyo at all. You should be doing Tokyo as a day trip and going into Osaka and Kansai, and my friend Kevin Riley's probably thinking the same thing. I know no one's gonna do that. Some people might, but Osaka is stacked. Like you got it, and it's much closer to Kanazawa as well. It's much closer to Fukui and the Dinosaur Museum, which is pretty awesome. It's much closer to Hiroshima. Like I don't know. I'm hoping that if you do come to Tokyo, you might go up to Tohoku, which is a place that's close to my heart. We just had the 13th year memorial yesterday, when we kind of stop our day to remember, and for me, it is deeply. Very deep memory for me, trauma I still have. You saw that in January when I went up there and I was really impacted by it. But yeah, I would hope that you guys would go up there if you came to Tokyo, instead of using Tokyo as your day trips. Kansai is much better suited for that. You got day trips to Nara, you got day trips to, you know, Himeji, you got day trips to, even it's much easier from Osaka to do a day trip to Hiroshima, for example, to Miyajima. Even hitting Kyushu is a lot easier because you're saving 3 hours sitting on the train. So I think this tax is going to happen, and I think it's probably going to start in the fall, but before 2025, because April 2025 is when the Expo is coming. But I think they're overestimating the power of having a World Expo. Yeah, it's gonna be cool, and I'll probably go to it, but it's not like this thing that attracts everyday tourists. All right, it's kind of like anime, manga, and the other things that are coming to Japan. It's gonna bring in a lot of people, but it's certainly not gonna be as such a big buzz as it is. And I think we're right now feeling, and Japan was able to avoid this, a recession, and I think the economies are not gonna be good in 2025. I think the numbers will stay pretty solid, but it'll be people. But it could be a lot better if the economy was better. And I know in the US with the election year, I know in Canada with all the chaos going on up there right now. Trust me, we get so many Canadian viewers. I hear a lot from that. There's a lot of, you know, issues going up in Canada, which has become more exciting for political watching than in the US, I believe, because the US is just too predictable right now. Anyways, besides the point, the recession is real, and it's really starting to slow down the domestic economy in Japan. A lot of tourists from Japan are not going to Hawaii. They're not going to Guam because it's just too expensive. So domestic tourism here is really strained. And when you do come to Japan, I want you to realize that the domestic tourism in Japan is quite strained, because not just there's so many internationals are coming here, but there's so much because people still want to take vacations. In particular, during the time when holidays start, people go back home, right? When that happens, people want to ride the train and travel and take off from work, and it's just super, super stressful. So you try to avoid those holiday seasons, and then, you know, plan your trip strategically. Maybe come in May instead of the cherry blossoms, because not only is the weather better and the days are longer, it's just more enjoyable with less people. Also, it's a lot better to come maybe in September and October than it is to come in July and August. It's not as hot, less tourists, and less pollen. Wow, a lot of people are wearing masks, not because of the sickness. It's because of pollen and kafunsho. It's hay fever. And I get it too in my room because it's all in the air. Even on the rainy day, it's a little bit better. Anyways, that's what's going on here. Leave me your comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are on the over-tourism thing. I know it's a big deal to people that are visiting. You don't want to come when everything is so crowded. You don't want to wait in a line for an hour to go to a temple, all right? I'm talking about Kinkakuji, the Golden Pavilion. I couldn't believe people were waiting an hour to go to that one. It's like, yeah, you get a picture. It's the same picture you can find on the internet. It's a decent walk, but I think the Silver Pavilion is less crowded and certainly more inviting. But that's just me. I think everybody's got to do what they got to do. RIP to, yeah, I was going to talk about this with my friend Matt Alt, Akira Toriyama, and we also lost the voice of Chibi Maruko-chan, which was my favorite anime, actually. When I came to Japan 1998, 1998 is easier to say. When I came to Japan in 98, I would watch Chibi Maruko-chan, and after that was Sazai-san, these two anime, and I would learn about Japanese culture, family culture, and I would learn about the Japanese language through these shows. And they lost the woman who's been voicing it since the 90s. And now I guess the last episode is going to be on with her voice is March 24th, and I guess they're going to have to suspend it until they find somebody who could quickly replace that voice. To me, that was a bigger loss, but I know that any loss in these amazing cultural treasures is devastating, in particular to a lot of the fans. So yeah, rest in peace for sure, and thank you for all of the years of hard work for both of them, making my experience in Japan a lot more interesting and educational, for sure. All right, I'll talk about this and the impact with Matt Alt. He's also recovering from being sick, and I'm looking forward to that. He knows a lot more about his impact, and he's the right person to talk to about this. Matt's doing really well as well, and you can see him and I were in an episode just a couple of months ago. It seems like this is the last episode. This one here, Matt was in this. You might want to go watch that. We talk about toys and stuff. It was a pretty good episode, I think. Yeah. All right, everybody, I'm out of here. Have a good day, have a good night. Sign up for the Postcard Club. I'm sending them out in just a couple of days. Mata ne.